I always thought the worst day of my life would involve death, disaster, or at least dramatic weather. Instead, it happened on a perfectly sunny Tuesday morning in April, while I sat across from my boss Ryan's perfectly polished mahogany desk, watching him pretend to care about company restructuring. My name is Angelina, and until exactly 9:47 a.m. that morning, I was a senior financial analyst at Morton and Blake Investment Partners, the kind of person who caught million-dollar discrepancies before breakfast and could spot a cooking book from a mile away. The kind of person who apparently became disposable the moment she announced her pregnancy. "We're streamlining operations," Ryan said, his practiced smile never reaching his eyes. "Unfortunately, your position falls within the affected departments." Lindsay from HR sat beside him, clutching her tablet like a shield. Just last week, we'd been chatting about baby names in the break room. Now she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Streamlining?" I repeated, my hand instinctively moving to my still flat stomach. "We just posted record profits last quarter. I helped generate those numbers." "The decision is final," Ryan said, sliding a manila envelope across the desk. "Your severance package is generous, 2 months' salary plus benefits through the end of the quarter." "This is because I'm pregnant, isn't it?" The words burst out before I could stop them. Ryan's smile tightened. "That's a serious accusation, Angelina. One without merit. We value diversity and inclusion here at Morton and Blake. Then why am I the only one being streamlined from my department?" Lindsay finally spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. "We'll need you to clear out your desk by the end of the day. Security will escort you." I stood up so quickly my chair scraped against the floor. "Don't bother. I know my way out." Back at my desk, I started throwing things into a cardboard box. Family photos, my lucky coffee mug, the stupid stress ball with the company logo that suddenly seemed perfect for throwing at Ryan's head. "Is it true?" Talia appeared beside my desk, her eyes wide. "They're letting you go?" "Apparently, I'm part of a restructuring initiative," I said, the words bitter in my mouth. "This is bullshit," she hissed, glancing around before leaning closer. "Everyone knows you're the best analyst we have. Ryan's been taking credit for your work for years." "Yeah, well, pregnant women don't fit his image of corporate excellence." As I yanked open my bottom drawer, a file fell out, one I didn't recognize. The label read Project Sunrise, but the contents made my blood run cold. Wire transfers, offshore accounts, shell companies, numbers that didn't add up unless you were trying to hide something. "What's that?" Talia asked. I quickly slipped the file into my box. "Nothing, just old reports." A security guard appeared at my desk, looking apologetic. "Ms. Rivera, I need to escort you out now." In the elevator, clutching my box of belongings and that mysterious file, I felt the first tears threatening to fall. But I wouldn't cry. Not here. Not where they could see me through their glass-walled offices. My phone buzzed as I reached my car. A text from my cousin Delilah. "Heard what happened. Come over, bringing wine. Well, sparkling cider for you." I managed a small smile. Trust Delilah to know exactly what I needed. As an FBI agent, she'd seen enough corporate corruption to fill a library. Maybe she could make sense of what I'd found. Before I could respond, another message popped up. This one from Ryan. "Hope you understand this is just business. Nothing personal. Best of luck with everything." I stared at my phone, anger replacing tears. Nothing personal? He'd just destroyed my career because I dared to have a baby. Because I threatened his perfect little boys' club with my inconvenient female biology. The file in my box suddenly felt heavier. If what I suspected was true, Ryan's nothing personal was about to become very personal indeed. I typed back to Delilah. "On my way. Bring your work brain. Found something interesting." Starting my car, I caught a glimpse of Ryan watching from his office window. He raised his coffee mug in what looked like a toast, that same fake smile on his face. "Enjoy it while you can," I muttered, pulling out of my parking spot for the last time. "Because this isn't over, not by a long shot." The spring sunshine still felt wrong for such a dark day, but as I drove toward Delilah's place, something shifted inside me. They thought they were ruining my life, but maybe they'd just handed me exactly what I needed to ruin theirs. The file beside me held secrets, and I had nothing left to lose. Well, almost nothing. I touched my stomach again, thinking of the little life growing inside me. "Don't worry, baby," I whispered. "Mommy's about to teach some people a very important lesson about karma." "Holy shit," Delilah whispered, spreading the documents across her kitchen counter. "This isn't just creative accounting. This is full-blown money laundering." I sipped my sparkling cider while she pored over the papers I'd found. The afternoon sun streamed through her apartment windows, highlighting the furrow in her brow, the same one she got when working her biggest cases. "Look at these transfers," she said, pointing to a series of numbers. "They're moving money through at least 3 shell companies before it hits these offshore accounts. Classic washing pattern." "I knew something felt off about our international division's numbers," I said. "Ryan always handled those accounts personally." "Ryan?" Delilah's head snapped up. "The same Ryan who just fired you?" "The very same." She let out a low whistle. "Well, cousin, looks like you stumbled onto something big. Question is, what do you want to do about it?" I set down my glass. "What can I do about it?" "Officially, you can file a whistleblower report. Unofficially," she tapped the papers meaningfully, "I might know some people who'd be very interested in this." My phone buzzed, a text from Talia. "Ryan's on warpath, calling emergency debt meeting, something about information security." "They know," I said, showing Delilah the message. "They must have realized the file's missing." "Good," Delilah said, pulling out her laptop. "Let them sweat. Now, tell me everything you remember about their international operations." For the next hour, I walked her through what I knew. The strange patterns in the accounts, the late-night meetings, the way Ryan and his partner Sawyer always handled certain clients personally. "There's more," I said. "Last month, I overheard Ryan and Sawyer arguing about something called Project Sunrise, the same name that was on that file. Ryan said something about keeping the channels clean." Delilah's fingers flew across her keyboard. "Project Sunrise. Wait a minute." She turned the screen toward me. "Look familiar?" It was a news article about a string of tech companies suspected of laundering money for overseas clients. One of them had a subsidiary called Sunrise Technologies. "Those are some of our biggest clients," I said, feeling sick. "I handled their quarterly reports." "Without knowing what they really were," Delilah assured me. "That's how these operations work. They keep the legitimate side running smoothly to hide what's underneath." My phone buzzed again. This time it was an unknown number. "We know you took it. Be smart. Keep quiet and we can make this worth your while." "They're trying to buy me off," I said, showing Delilah the message. Classic move. First comes the carrot, then the stick. She stood up, pacing. "Listen, Angie, if we do this, if we really go after them, it won't be quick or easy. These guys have resources, connections. They'll fight dirty." "They already fought dirty," I said, touching my stomach. "They fired me for being pregnant, Delilah. They thought they could just throw me away." "And now you have the power to throw them in prison," she said, stopping to face me. "But you need to be sure. Once we start this, there's no going back." Another text came through, this time from Lindsay. "Please call me. It's important." "The HR manager?" Delilah asked, reading over my shoulder. "Yeah, she looked pretty uncomfortable during my firing. She might know something? Want to call her?" I shook my head. "Not yet. Let her stew for a bit. Besides, we need a plan first." Delilah grinned, the same mischievous smile she had when we were kids plotting pranks. "Already working on one. I've got a friend at the Bureau who specializes in financial crimes, and I know a journalist who'd love to sink his teeth into something like this." "A journalist?" "Derek O'Connor. He's broken some big corruption stories. Having him in our corner could be useful, especially if they try to bury this." My phone lit up again. Ryan this time. "Let's discuss this like adults. Name your price." "Look who's getting desperate," Delilah said. "What do you say, cousin? Ready to show them what happens when they mess with a Rivera?" I looked at the messages, at the scattered papers revealing years of fraud, at my reflection in Delilah's window, still standing, still fighting. They thought firing me would silence me. Instead, they'd given me nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. "Make the calls," I said. "But first, help me document everything in this file. I have a feeling Ryan's going to try to make it disappear." Delilah pulled out her phone. "Already on it. And Angie, we're going to need to be careful. These guys won't go down without a fight. Good, I said, surprising myself with how much I meant it. Because neither will I. As we worked into the evening, organizing evidence and making plans, I felt something I hadn't since that morning in Ryan's office. Hope. They thought they were ruining my life. Instead, they might have just given me the chance to save others from the same fate. Ready or not, Ryan, I muttered. Here we come. I could lose everything for this, Talia whispered, glancing nervously around the quiet coffee shop. We'd chosen a spot far from the office, but she still looked like she expected Ryan to jump out from behind every customer. You're already losing everything by staying silent, I said, sliding my laptop across the table. Look at these transactions. They're using client funds to hide illegal money. Talia's eyes widened as she scrolled through the spreadsheets. These dates, I remember these wire transfers. Sawyer insisted on processing them himself, said it was protocol for certain clients. Because he didn't want anyone else seeing the pattern. She pushed the laptop back, hands shaking slightly. What do you want from me, Angelina? Access to the current files. They've probably started cleaning house since I left, but there must be traces left. They've got IT working overtime, she confirmed. Ryan's been having closed-door meetings with Sawyer all week. I've never seen them so rattled. My phone buzzed. Delilah. FBI contact interested. Need more recent evidence. How's your inside source? I looked up at Talia, who was shredding a napkin into tiny pieces. You don't have to decide right now, I said. But think about what happens if this continues. How many more people will they hurt? They're watching us all like hawks now, she said. Yesterday, Sawyer asked me if I'd been in contact with you. What did you say? That I was as shocked as everyone else about your departure, she leaned forward. But Angelina, there's something else. I overheard Ryan on the phone yesterday. He mentioned something about cleaning up loose ends and your name came up. A chill ran down my spine. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with an unknown number. The message made my blood run cold. Back off now, or your baby won't have a mother. Final warning. Talia saw my face change. What is it? I showed her the message. Her face went pale. Oh, God, she whispered. They're serious, aren't they? This isn't just about money. No, I said, my hand instinctively moving to my stomach. It's about power, and they're terrified of losing it. Talia was quiet for a long moment, then pulled out her phone. I'm sending you my login credentials. The system logs all access, so you'll have about an hour before IT flags it. Are you sure? She nodded, her face set with determination. My sister lost everything in a corporate fraud case last year. Different company, same story. I won't let it happen to anyone else. I quickly forwarded her message to Delilah, then deleted it. Thank you, Talia. Don't thank me yet, she said, standing up. Just be careful, and delete those credentials as soon as you're done. After she left, I called Delilah. I got the message, she said before I could speak. Derek's already working on the story, but we need to move fast. Can you access the system now? Yes, but we only have an hour. That's all we need. Get somewhere secure with good internet. I'm sending Derek to meet you. 20 minutes later, I was in a private study room at the public library, joined by a tall man with kind eyes and a serious expression. Derek O'Connor, he said, setting up his laptop. Delilah's told me everything. Ready to make some corrupt executives very uncomfortable? We worked quickly, downloading files and taking screenshots. Derek's fingers flew across his keyboard, his eyes lighting up at particularly damning evidence. This is bigger than we thought, he said. These transactions connect to at least 3 other investment firms. It's a network. Suddenly, my screen went black. A message popped up. Unauthorized access detected. System locked. They're faster than we expected, Derek said, quickly saving everything to an encrypted drive. But we got what we needed. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. You were warned. Check your email. With trembling fingers, I opened my inbox. There was a single new message containing a video file. The footage showed me entering the library 20 minutes ago, followed by Derek. They're watching me, I whispered. Derek immediately started packing up. We need to get you out of here. Delilah has a safe house ready. A safe house? This is crazy. I can't just disappear. You can't go home either, he said firmly. Not with these people knowing where you live. Trust me, I've covered enough of these stories to know when threats are real. As if to prove his point, another text arrived. Nice library. Would be a shame if something happened there. Derek read it over my shoulder and grabbed my arm. We're leaving. Now. Through the back exit. As we hurried through the stacks, I thought about Talia, about the baby growing inside me, about everything at stake. They wanted to scare me into silence, but they just proved how desperate they were, and how much they had to hide. Send everything to Delilah, I told Derek as we reached his car, and tell her we're going to need more than just financial crimes investigators. These people aren't just laundering money anymore. They're trying to bury their secrets, he agreed, starting the engine, along with anyone who might expose them. The safe house turned out to be a modest apartment in a quiet suburb. Delilah paced the living room while Derek laid out printouts of everything we'd gathered. The threats change everything, Delilah said. We can add witness intimidation to the charges. A knock at the door made us all freeze. Delilah drew her gun, approaching silently. Through the peephole, she relaxed. It's Lindsay. The HR manager looked terrible. Mascara smeared, hands shaking as she clutched her purse. I had to come, she said. They're planning something horrible. Sit down, I said, guiding her to the couch. Tell us everything. Ryan and Sawyer, she started, then stopped to take a shuddering breath. They're not just laundering money. They're using the company to hide payments for other things, illegal things. I saw the records. Derek leaned forward, recorder in hand. What kind of illegal things? Arms dealing, Lindsay whispered. Through their overseas connections, the money laundering was just the surface. Project Sunrise is actually... Her phone buzzed. The color drained from her face as she read the message. They know I'm here, she said. They're watching my daughter's preschool. Show me the message, Delilah demanded, already dialing her phone. I'm calling in protection for your daughter right now. While Delilah made calls, Derek questioned Lindsay further. How long have you known about this? I suspected something was wrong for months, she said, but I only found proof last week. That's why they made me fire Angelina. They knew she was close to figuring it out. They said they'd ruin me if I didn't cooperate. And now? Now they're threatening my child. Her voice hardened. I'm done being scared. I'll tell you everything. For the next hour, Lindsay detailed years of corruption, how Ryan and Sawyer had built their empire, how they'd threatened and bought off anyone who got too close. There's more, she said, pulling out a USB drive. Financial records, emails, everything I could download before I left, including proof they fired Angelina for being pregnant. My phone rang. Talia. Angelina, they know Lindsay came to you. Sawyer's gone crazy. He's talking about cleaning house completely. Get out of there, I told her. Now. Already gone. But there's something else. I overheard Ryan talking about moving everything offshore. They're planning to empty the accounts tomorrow. Derek was already typing. If they transfer those funds, we'll lose our evidence trail. Not if we stop them first, Delilah said, returning from her calls. Lindsay, are you willing to make an official statement? Lindsay squared her shoulders. Yes, but I need to know my daughter will be safe. She's already under protection, Delilah assured her, and you will be too. Another knock at the door. This time, it was 2 FBI agents Delilah had called. They quickly set up equipment to record Lindsay's statement. Wait, I said before they started. What about Sawyer? He seems even more dangerous than Ryan. He is, Lindsay confirmed, because he has nothing to lose. His wife left him last month, took everything. This scheme is all he has left. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Smart move, getting protection. But can they protect everyone? Your doctor's appointment tomorrow at 2 p.m. might be interesting. I showed it to Delilah. Her face darkened. They're monitoring your medical records. This ends now. She stepped out to make more calls while Derek reviewed the evidence with the FBI agents. I sat next to Lindsay, who was still trembling slightly. I'm sorry, she said quietly. About the firing. I should have stood up to them. You're standing up now, I replied. That's what matters. Delilah returned with a determined look. Derek, release the first part of the story tonight. Focus on the financial crimes. Hold the weapons dealing until we have more proof. Let's see how they handle the spotlight. What about Angelina's safety? Lindsay asked. We're moving her to a more secure location, Delilah said. And tomorrow, we're setting a trap. What kind of trap? I asked. The kind where they think they're in control, she smiled grimly. Let them think they can still intimidate us. While they're focused on threats, they won't see us dismantling their empire piece by piece. My phone lit up with another message. From Ryan this time. Last chance. Walk away now, take a generous settlement, or things get ugly. I showed it to everyone. Derek smiled. Perfect. Let's use their desperation against them. Are you sure about this? Lindsay asked me. They're dangerous people. I looked around the room, at Delilah's determination, Derek's focus, Lindsay's newfound courage. Then I thought of my unborn child, and all the other lives these men had ruined. I'm sure, I said. They wanted to silence me. Instead, they gave me a voice, and I'm going to use it to bring them down. Delilah nodded. Then let's get to work. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. Derek's story hit the news at 6 a.m. By 7, my phone was exploding with calls from blocked numbers. By 8, Ryan's perfectly manicured world was crumbling. The stock's in free fall, Talia reported over our secure line. Ryan's locked himself in his office with Sawyer. They're shredding documents like crazy. Let them, Delilah said, monitoring multiple screens in our new safe location. We already have copies of everything. The morning news played in the background. Breaking news, Morton and Blake investment partners under investigation for alleged financial misconduct. Sources claim the firm has been involved in systematic money laundering. My phone rang, Ryan's direct line. Delilah nodded, starting a trace. Hello, Ryan, I answered, keeping my voice steady. You stupid little bitch, he snarled, his smooth corporate facade completely gone. Do you have any idea what you've done? Exposed your criminal enterprise? Yes, I do. This isn't a game, Angelina. People get hurt playing with fire. Is that why you're calling? More threats? I'm calling with an offer. His voice shifted, attempting charm. $20 million, cash, untraceable. Walk away now, and it's yours. I caught Delilah's eye. She held up 5 fingers. Keep him talking. That's a lot of money, Ryan. Sounds desperate. Think about your baby, he pressed. The kind of life you could give it. No one needs to get hurt here. Like you cared about my baby when you fired me? Business decision, he said dismissively. This is different. This is your future we're talking about. Delilah gave me a thumbs up. They had the trace. You're right, Ryan. This is about my future, and yours in prison. I hung up as he started cursing. Seconds later, my email pinged, a video attachment. Surveillance footage of Delilah's apartment building. They're watching your place too, I told her. Good, she smiled. Let them waste resources on an empty apartment. Meanwhile, her phone buzzed. Got him. Ryan made the call from a warehouse in the industrial district, not his office. And guess what else is registered to that address? Sunrise Technologies, Derek said, walking in with fresh coffee. The shell company they've been using to move weapons. My phone lit up again. Sawyer this time. Check your email, now. The attachment was a photo of me at my last doctor's appointment, going into the clinic. The message read, shame if anything happened to the baby, or its mother. That's it, Delilah snapped, seeing my face. We're moving on them now. Wait, Derek said, checking his phone. Something's happening at Morton and Blake. Talia just sent me a video. We crowded around his screen. The footage showed Ryan and Sawyer in a screaming match in the office hallway. You promised this was contained, Sawyer shouted, shoving Ryan against a wall. Now we're both going down. If you'd let me handle the pregnant bitch my way, Ryan started. Your way? Sawyer laughed hysterically. Your way got us exposed. I'm not going to prison because you couldn't keep your employees in line. Security rushed in to separate them, but the damage was done. Dozens of phones had recorded the confrontation. Perfect, Derek grinned. Their partnership's cracking. Want to apply more pressure? Before anyone could answer, Lindsay called. They're trying to access the offshore accounts early. My replacement in HR just called me panicking. They're forcing her to process mass transfers. Delilah was already moving. That's our cue. FBI's moving in now. What about the warehouse? I asked. Second team's already there. But Angelina, she hesitated. We need you to do something risky. What? Call Ryan back. Keep him talking. Make him think you're considering his offer. We need 10 minutes to get teams in position. My hand went to my stomach. He threatened my baby. And we'll get him for that too, Derek said gently. But right now, we need him distracted. I took a deep breath and dialed. Ryan answered immediately. Changed your mind about my offer? 20 million is a lot of money, I said carefully. How do I know you'll pay? Smart girl. Meet me in person. 1 hour. I'll show you the transfer details myself. Delilah was nodding encouragingly. Where? I asked. The warehouse on Industrial Drive. Come alone or no deal. I'll need time to think. No time, he snapped. 1 hour. Alone. Or the offer dies, and maybe something else does too. The call ended. Delilah was already gearing up. He's desperate, she said. Taking stupid risks. This ends today. You're not actually sending me there? I asked. Hell no, she grinned. But he'll be waiting for you instead of watching his empire fall. Speaking of which, she turned up the TV. Breaking news banner. FBI raids Morton and Blake offices. Multiple arrests in progress. My phone buzzed one final time. Talia. Sawyer just ran out with a briefcase. Ryan's going ballistic. What did you do? We didn't do anything, Delilah said, reading over my shoulder. They did it to themselves. The FBI surveillance van wasn't my idea of a comfortable spot, but it gave me a perfect view of Ryan pacing outside the warehouse, checking his watch every 30 seconds. He's unraveling, Delilah said, adjusting her tactical vest. Look at his hands. They're shaking. Through the high-powered camera feed, I could see she was right. Ryan's perfectly pressed suit was wrinkled, his hair disheveled. He kept touching the gun barely concealed under his jacket. Sawyer's still in the wind, an agent reported through the radio. But we've got teams at every airport and train station. My phone buzzed. Talia again. They're seizing computers from Ryan's office, found a hidden safe behind his art collection. You'll never believe what was inside. Before I could respond, movement on the camera feed caught everyone's attention. A black SUV pulled up to the warehouse. Sawyer stepped out, clutching his briefcase. You said she'd be here, he shouted at Ryan. She will be, Ryan snapped back. We don't need to do anything, Sawyer cut him off. I'm taking what's left and getting out while I can. You should do the same. Nobody's going anywhere. Ryan pulled his gun. We finish this. Today. The FBI teams tensed, ready to move. Delilah held up her hand. Wait, let them incriminate themselves further. You've lost it, Sawyer laughed, but there was fear in his eyes. The feds are probably already... Already what? A new voice called out. Lindsay stepped from behind a container, wearing a wire, her hands raised. Already watching? Already recording? What the hell are you doing here? Ryan's gun swung toward her. Buying time, she said calmly. For them. FBI teams swarmed from every direction. Ryan fired once, the bullet hitting a metal container with a clang, before being tackled. Sawyer tried to run but made it 3 steps before being surrounded. Clear! Delilah shouted. Bring her in! An agent escorted me from the van. I walked up to Ryan as they cuffed him, his face pressed against the concrete. You stupid bitch, he snarled. I'll still destroy you. I have connections. Like these? I held up my phone, showing him the photo Talia had just sent. The contents of his safe. Files, USB drives, and a book of names. Your insurance policy against your partners? It's all evidence now. Sawyer started laughing hysterically. You kept records? You actually kept records? Shut up. Ryan tried to lunge at him, but was held back. You're just as guilty. Actually, Lindsay stepped forward. Sawyer made a deal an hour ago. Full cooperation for reduced charges. That's why he came here, to help catch you. Ryan's face went from red to purple. You betrayed me? Like you betrayed everyone else? I asked. Karma's funny that way. Delilah signaled the agents to take them away. As they loaded Ryan into a car, he locked eyes with me one last time. This isn't over, he mouthed. Actually, Derek walked up, filming everything on his phone. It is. Your empire's gone, Ryan, and everyone will know what you really are. Once the cars pulled away, Lindsay sagged against a container. I thought he was going to shoot me. You were incredibly brave, I told her. Why did you do it? Because you were right, she said. We can't let people like that win. And she touched my arm. I needed to make up for not protecting you when I had the chance. My phone buzzed again. Talia. It found everything. Offshore accounts, weapons deals, years of blackmail. They're finished. Delilah was coordinating with other agents when she suddenly stopped, her face serious. Angelina, you need to see this. She led me to Sawyer's dropped briefcase. Inside were documents, surveillance photos of me, my medical records, detailed plans for what they'd intended to do if I didn't take their offer. They were never going to let me live, were they? I asked quietly. No, she confirmed. But now we can add attempted murder conspiracy to their charges. Derek was already typing on his laptop. This is going to be bigger than just financial crimes. We're talking international weapons trafficking, conspiracy, attempted murder. They'll never see daylight again. Good, I said, touching my stomach. My baby deserves a world with fewer people like them in it. Lindsay touched my shoulder. You know what this means? You can get your job back. The board will have to reinstate you after this. I looked around at the warehouse, at the evidence of how corrupt the company had become. Actually, I have a better idea. What's that? Delilah asked. I think it's time to start my own investment firm, one that actually helps people instead of exploiting them. Derek grinned. Now that's a story I want to write. First, Delilah said, let's get you to your doctor's appointment. For real this time, no surveillance or threats. As we left the warehouse, my phone lit up one last time, a message from an unknown number. But this time, it wasn't a threat. It was a thank you from one of Ryan's previous victims, who'd seen the news and finally felt safe enough to speak out. Ready to go home? Delilah asked. I looked at the message again and smiled. Yes, it's time to start building something better. The courthouse buzzed with tension as I took the witness stand. Ryan and Sawyer sat at separate tables with their lawyers, both men looking considerably less polished in their prison jumpsuits. Ms. Rivera, the prosecutor began, please tell the court about the events leading to your termination from Morton and Blake. I caught Ryan's eye as I spoke. His trademark smirk was gone, replaced by barely contained rage. I was called into a meeting shortly after announcing my pregnancy, I said clearly. Despite my proven track record and recent success in generating record profits, I was told I was being streamlined out of the company. And what happened next? While clearing out my office, I discovered documents relating to Project Sunrise, evidence of money laundering and illegal weapons trading. Ryan's lawyer stood. Objection, speculation. Overruled, the judge said. Continue. I detailed everything, the threats, the surveillance, the attempted murder plot. With each word, Ryan's face grew darker while Sawyer seemed to shrink into himself. During a brief recess, Delilah found me in the hallway. You're doing great. The jury's completely engaged. How many years are they looking at? I asked. With everything we've uncovered? 20 to life minimum, and that's just the federal charges. State prosecutors are lined up next. My phone buzzed. Derek. Story's going viral. 3 more investment firms linked to their weapons network just got raided. Good, I said. How's Talia doing? Crushing it, Delilah smiled. Her testimony about the internal operations yesterday had Ryan's lawyer looking for the exits. Back in the courtroom, Ryan's attorney tried to paint me as a disgruntled employee seeking revenge. It backfired spectacularly when the prosecution produced the surveillance photos and detailed murder plans from Sawyer's briefcase. So, Mr. Ryan, the prosecutor held up the documents. Are these your handwritten notes describing how to make Ms. Rivera's death look like an accident? Ryan's lawyer jumped up. My client invokes his Fifth Amendment rights. A bit late for that, the judge noted dryly. During the next break, Lindsay rushed up to me, her face flushed. They found more, in Ryan's vacation house, offshore account numbers, contact lists for arms dealers. How did they find it? I asked. His wife turned him in, she grinned. Apparently he forgot to hide things from her, too. The afternoon brought Sawyer's testimony as part of his plea deal. He threw Ryan under the bus with remarkable enthusiasm, detailing years of corruption, threats, and violence. It was all Ryan's idea, he insisted, sweating. The weapons, the murders, everything. I just handled the money. Liar! Ryan lunged across his table. Deputies rushed to restrain him as he shouted, You were there! You helped plan everything! Tell them about the other girls you threatened. The judge's gavel cracked like a gunshot. Remove Mr. Ryan from my courtroom. As they dragged him out, he locked eyes with me one last time. This isn't over. You hear me? I'll still... The doors slammed behind him. In the silence that followed, his threats felt empty, powerless. The day ended with closing arguments. The prosecution's case was airtight. Money trails, witness testimony, physical evidence. Ryan's lawyer looked defeated before he even started his defense. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Derek ran interference, directing them to his comprehensive coverage while Delilah escorted me to her car. Jury deliberates tomorrow, she said. But after Ryan's outburst, it's pretty much guaranteed. My phone lit up with messages of support. From Talia, from other former employees, from people I'd never met who'd been inspired to come forward with their own stories of corporate abuse. Look at this. I showed Delilah one message. You gave me courage to report my own boss. Thank you. You started something bigger than just taking down Ryan, she said. People are finally speaking up. That evening, at a small celebration dinner with our core group, Talia raised her glass. To justice. And to new beginnings, Lindsay added, nodding at my now visible baby bump. Speaking of new beginnings, Derek said, pulling out his laptop, wait until you see this. He showed us the latest financial news. Morton and Blake's board had resigned en masse. The company was being restructured under new leadership with a focus on ethical investment and corporate responsibility. They're already asking about your new firm, he told me. Lots of clients want to switch to someone they can trust. Trust, I repeated, touching my stomach as the baby kicked. That's what was missing. That's what we're building now. Delilah squeezed my hand. Ready for tomorrow? I looked around at these people who'd stood by me, who'd helped expose the truth, who'd chosen right over easy. Then I thought of Ryan, raging and powerless, finally facing consequences for his actions. More than ready, I said. It's time for the final act. To the final act, they echoed, raising their glasses. Tomorrow would bring the verdict, but we already knew the truth. We'd won the moment we decided to fight back. Guilty on all counts. The jury forewoman's words rang through the courtroom like a bell. Ryan's face turned ashen as the judge read out the sentences. 25 years for money laundering, 15 for conspiracy, 20 for attempted murder, to be served consecutively. You'll die in prison, I whispered, just loud enough for him to hear as they led him away. He tried to lunge at me one last time, but the deputies were ready. As they dragged him through the doors, his expensive suit wrinkled and his carefully styled hair in disarray, I saw what he truly was. A small man whose power had always been an illusion. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Derek stepped up to the microphones first, professional as always. Today's verdict sends a clear message, he said. Corporate crime isn't victimless, and perpetrators will face consequences. Ms. Rivera, a reporter called out, what's next for you? I stepped forward, one hand resting on my growing belly. Change, real change. Today, I'm announcing the launch of Rivera Ethical Investments. We'll prove that success doesn't require sacrificing integrity. And I'm joining her, Talia added, stepping up beside me, along with others who believe in doing things right. More questions flew. What about Sawyer's sentencing? Will you pursue civil damages? How many other companies are under investigation? Delilah touched my arm. Come on, we've got somewhere more important to be. We slipped away from the media circus and headed across town. The building that would house my new firm stood gleaming in the afternoon sun. Inside, Lindsay was already directing movers, setting up offices. Perfect timing, she said. The first client meeting starts in 20 minutes. Client meeting? I hadn't scheduled anything yet. The pension fund that Ryan defrauded, she explained. They want to be your first official client. Said something about poetic justice. My phone buzzed. A message from the prosecutor. Sawyer just got 15 years. Cooperation only helped so much. Justice served. Speaking of justice, Delilah said, look who's here. A group of women entered the lobby, former employees from other companies, all with similar stories of discrimination and retaliation. We heard what you did, one said. We want to help build something better. And we want to invest with someone who understands integrity, another added. I looked around the lobby, at Talia organizing files, Lindsay directing operations, these women ready to join our mission. Through the windows, I could see Derek giving interviews, spreading the word about corporate accountability. Ms. Rivera? A young intern appeared. Your doctor's office called to confirm tomorrow's appointment, and the contractor finished the nursery down the hall. I smiled, remembering Ryan's threats about my doctor visits. Now I had a workplace with a nursery, surrounded by people who supported working mothers instead of punishing them. Ready for the client meeting? Talia asked, handing me a folder. Actually, I said, invite them all in. Not just the pension fund, everyone here. Let's talk about what we're building together. In the conference room, I looked at these faces. Some familiar, some new, all committed to change. My baby kicked, as if adding their approval. When I was fired, I began, I thought they were ending my career. Instead, they gave us all an opportunity to start something revolutionary. Not just a company, but a movement. A movement that's spreading, Derek added from the doorway. 3 more whistleblowers came forward today from different firms. Good, I said, because we're not just managing money here. We're proving that ethics and success aren't mutually exclusive, that standing up to corruption isn't career suicide, it's career liberation. Delilah slipped me a note. FBI's using our case to build a corporate crime task force. Want to consult? I nodded, then turned back to the room. So, who's ready to make history? Hands raised across the room. Outside, the sun caught the new sign being installed on the building. Rivera Ethical Investments. Building trust, creating value. My phone lit up one last time, a message from an unknown number. But unlike those threatening texts from before, this one read, You inspired me to speak up. My boss is under investigation now. Thank you for showing us how to fight back. I touched my belly, feeling my baby move. You're going to grow up in a better world, I whispered. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's making sure no one else suffers the same fate. The client meeting began, full of energy and purpose. As I opened the first file, I caught my reflection in the window, no longer a victim, but a leader. Ryan had tried to silence one pregnant woman. Instead, he'd helped create an army of whistleblowers, reformers, and change-makers. Let's begin, I said, and we did. Not just a meeting, but a revolution in corporate ethics, one honest deal at a time.